and welcome to The Corner. Well, today's episode, it's one of very interesting episode, take it from me. And you know, in today's world we are living where we grieve differently in both our lives. It doesn't matter who we've lost. And that's why we came up with this discussion. Today's episode, we are discussing grieving process, specifically child loss. I'm your host, Yvonne Kadzo. Well, I'm not alone in studio. I have amazing people here with me. I have a daktari, you can tell from the outfit, and beautiful guests who will introduce themselves and also share a part of their story concerning this topic. Maybe we can start with the introduction.
Hello viewers, my name is Arthur Morioki and I'm a consultant psychologist.
Yeah. Hi, it's me.
Hello, my name is Mary Rongo. I am an accountant and a social media marketer.
My name is Ricky Kitonga. I'm an interior designer.
Nice. Thank you so much for making time to be part of this conversation. If I can start with Daktari, you know, talking of grief, sometimes we may not really understand what grief is. If maybe you can tell us, what is grief, first of all?
So it's an emotional state, okay? So it's an emotional state where the person experiencing it feels a very deep or profound feelings of sadness or emptiness. And it may not just be of a human being that you've lost a relationship. It can be a relationship that a divorce or separation with a partner still alive. It can be the loss of a job. It can be the loss of social status, either because of a disease that removes you from the public limelight, deep sadness, and also helplessness, that I'm trying to get myself to stop feeling this way, and it's just impossible. And a human being, as long as you have the ability to feel an emotion or you're alive, then grief is part of life.
Yeah. To our beautiful people today, if I can start with Mary.
Yes.
You've grieved before.
Yeah.
If I can take you just back, if you can tell us about that.
The loss I went through was a loss of my child. I lost my baby at birth. I was 38 weeks old. My pregnancy was 38 weeks old. It was just, you know, like a normal day, and I went into labor. I called my doctor. Doctor was like, "Come in, let's check you out." Checked me. I had started dilating. Checked the baby. Heartbeat was perfect. So now we are going through the process of, because I wanted a natural birth. So we are going through the process of labor. So a few hours later, they come to check me again. Progressed to 3 centimeters dilation. But now checking baby's heartbeat, there was no heartbeat. So they go through emergency ultrasound, they go through just trying to check the baby's well-being. And this is when they came to our room and they told us we lost the baby.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Ricky, you've also experienced something almost similar to that. If maybe you can share that with us.
Yeah, ours was slightly different. We were, I believe, seven years into marriage. We already had a baby girl, and we were trusting and believing for a second baby. And it happened on an evening when my wife was going through her periods, and she visited the washroom, and in the middle of the night she went through these periods, and it wasn't normal, normal periods. And she came and told me she's had an abnormal cycle, and which she believes that we needed to get some special, see someone special, our gynae. And when she had that flow, we immediately booked an appointment with our gynae in the morning, and we explained. Obviously, the gynae wanted to find out what actually had happened, and through that, the gynae was able to request us to book an appointment. And after visiting the gynae, we found out that she had had an early miscarriage at 7 weeks.
Oh.
And one thing that I went through as a man or as a husband is the questions and the fact that how do I grieve as a man?
Yes, now that it's where I'll get back to you. Apotu, if I can jump back to Daktari. You see, during this process, either it's a 7-week, it's a full term, it's all that. Is there a way that is there a specific period for grieving? Like, kama wako alipass after 3 weeks, unafaa grieve only maximum 3 months. Is there a period for grieving?
So that's a good question because someone else could ask. I've been getting the symptoms of pregnancy. I think I could be pregnant. And then I build up the excitement. And then when I go, I've missed my period for a month, 2 months, and I'm feeling as though my stomach is bloated. I'm having morning sickness. I am confident I am pregnant. Then you go do a test and it shows it's negative. The reaction to that, because it's a disappointment, you can also start grieving this child who you thought you already had, okay? So it can start even with the disappointment of knowing that you never got pregnant. Or it can also be if you go to hospital and you're told based on your biochemical makeup, it's going to be quite difficult for you to get pregnant. So we are going to have to do fertility treatments, and it's not something you ever thought you would have to do.
Yeah.
And that's another potential opportunity for grief. Okay, so it can you can start the process of grieving even before there was ever a baby, because even of the thought that I may never have a baby, and the grief can also start after you lose your baby, or if maybe after the initial test they tell you, we are sorry, but your child appears to have birth defects, to be not developing normally. And we are thinking it could be Down syndrome, we are thinking it could be these other conditions, and the reality of that I'm going to give birth to a child who looks like this or who has these deformities, am I to blame? Do I even want to go through with it? What will I tell the people? So it can start before you ever go pregnant, and it can start after you get pregnant, even based on how the doctors are managing your pregnancy. And then now the big one, when you actually are informed that you've lost the baby. There is no prescribed time or justification for you to start grief. It's when it hits you, it comes, and that's the right time to grieve.
And just to add on that, I have been in the same position as Mary. Mine was 40 weeks. It was a full term. And I was saying it has to be normal. It will be normal. But then during the delivery, the baby didn't come out crying. It was a normal delivery. Then 2 hours later, he passed away. And I think by that time I was also young. So there is so many questions I had in mind. And I was like, I was supposed to go back to school. I've just lost a child who I had psychologically prepared that I've embraced this. You know how people would talk when you get pregnant young and all that? So I had already prepared. I used to tell people, my son will be Obama. When he becomes, when he is Obama, let me hear you saying that you know me. You know, right now you're talking stuff behind my back. So I think also that disappointment that, you know, I thought my son would be Obama and he's no longer here. And all that. So if I may ask Mary, after the loss, did you feel the need to grieve? Or did you, find it difficult to grieve, I would say?
Well, yeah, I really did. But after Daktari explained the meaning of grief and when you should start grieving, I think I started grieving way before when I was now trying, because we really tried getting pregnant, and we went through the cycles of, oh my God, will my period come this month? My period, all that. Yeah. So after losing the child, it was very difficult. It was very difficult for me because I lost my child, and now there was this talk of, I remember there was this man, Lord forgive him. Amen. There was this man who came to the hospital and he started telling me, oh Mary, you never know God's plan. This kid could have disturbed you in life. This kid could have, become like Amkora, or become, I was just like, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll just forgive you because maybe that's what you know, and you're talking from your point of knowledge, but it was really difficult going through it. And yeah, like, I think it just, I went through it in waves. So there was one time it was more of, it's God's plan. I have to, I have to align myself with God's plan. Then it went to, I just miss her.
Yeah.
I miss the future that I was supposed to have. So I went through that. Then shortly after, and I was going through another grief, which was my divorce. So I went, it was just a mess.
Yeah,
So for
times
me,
two.
it just happened in waves. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Ricky, you were talking about how men grieve differently.
Right.
I would say society, we all know, women, we are so vocal and talk about all these things. If maybe you can share experience, how did you grieve differently?
Myself, I was torn in between understanding to what level can I grieve as a man, as a husband. I knew as a husband I have to be very super empathetic with my wife during that period and time, because I cannot even furthermore imagine what they are going through or what she was going through during that time. And that's a time when I realized it's not the best time to tell your wife it will be okay. It's not okay. So it was a roller coaster of emotions for me, because if at all I didn't have a good, healthy structure, group structure and support system that I could probably go to, which I did, either through your pastor or your close friends, that helped me. But it didn't shield the fact that there is someone else who was carrying the baby.
Yeah.
Because how it affects me, how it affects men or me in person is, when you meet your friends, the first question they'll ask is, how's your wife doing? You see, how's your wife doing? Not how are you doing?
Okay.
You get?
Yeah.
It's like it's only affected one party. So you kind of think, okay, it's just a number. You're within that statistic. It's just a number. And those are kind of the challenges that you kind of face as a man.
For Daktari, you see, it's quite clear that men grieve differently from women. I remember during my time, the guy who I was with at that time, I think it was just, we had just lost the baby. Maybe like after 2 months, she got someone else pregnant and they had twins. So I was like, God, maybe you forgot. It was here, not the other way around, So how do, because I feel like I took longer to grieve than the other person. How different do men, grieve from women, and how can they handle that?
What Ricky has said is eye-opening, because then it gives you an opportunity to have an insight into men's mental health, because it's also a factor for mental health.
Yeah.
Because if Ricky comes and tells me, oh, you know what happened, even the fact that he trusts me to tell me that he's no longer going to have the baby they were expecting, my initial reaction is, let me go buy you a beer, I know you're stressed, okay? And then once we get to the club, we meet with our friends, and he's told me, don't let anyone know. So it stops being about him, it starts being about the fun we are having.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, I'll tell him, you're good? And then he say, I'm good. And then he's gone home to his own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then he may not want to talk to me again because I never helped. But then the big question is, how else could I have helped him? I don't know how to. I'll listen, but then I may say some of the remarks that are not very welcoming.
Yeah.
So because also the lack of awareness of how else, what does he need from me? And I don't even know how to give it. But now what we can do, if I'm his good friend, I'll point him to someone who could help. And if he needs my company to go for support, then I should be able to be available.
Yeah. We are taking a very short break, but we'll be right back. Keep it Family TV.
Tomorrow on She.
Did you have that moment when you just felt like,
who am I?
Oh, I did many times. You have other responsibilities. You're a mother, you're a wife, you have all these things calling for your attention.
Opportunities have opened up for the females, but you still find that being a woman in a male-dominated industry, you need to prove yourself beyond.
You have to balance relationships. I need to be friendly enough to make sure that things move and not be too pushy to create an enmity.
We are talking about women in security.
It's tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome back to The Corner. So on today's episode, we are discussing the grieving process. And remember, you can also join in the conversation via our SMS line, that is 2316, or WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. For those on YouTube, karibuni sana. So before we went on a break, we were talking about how men deal grief differently from women. And if I can start with Daktari, you see the emotions, especially for a woman, they are contributed with their hormones and all that. They are all over the place and all that. What if there's a man out there whose partner is going through grief? Na hajui how to handle, you know, I don't know if I should say this, if I should not, like we are playing guessing game.
So a misconception, just because men do not express emotions does not mean that they don't feel them, okay?
True.
They feel them as intensely as the women do, okay? Only that we have, society does not create or does not give us expectations on how to express them in a healthy way. So then normally it becomes a very private experience that people won't get to know. But then we see it maybe on how we are coping with it, either with substances, alcohol, promiscuity, overworking, being an alcoholic, such things, or sleeping too much, or switching jobs, or quitting jobs. But then for women, it's easier for them to the avenues are there for self-expression. Okay, so that's important. How do you, they feel intensely as the spouse would be feeling. But it's a good question you've asked because it's a bit overwhelming and a feeling that a lot of men will avoid like a plague is feeling helpless. Okay, that my wife is in distress and I have no clue how to help. I can see she's in pain, I can see she needs support, but I do not know. So I'm going to try what I think she needs. So probably I'll ask, can I buy you chocolate?
Yeah,
okay. Or can we go for a holiday? Or can we think more in logical terms, practical activities. But you see, when you listen to this lady, she probably just wants to be held in that moment and for you to be quiet. Don't speak, just hold me, okay? Now, a lot of men will think, I need to be doing something now, holding you, how is that?
Helping you.
And maybe that is what he said. But then we look at when you're distressed, you're not even, it's not easy to fully express what you actually need. Because in the first place, you may not know what will give you relief.
Yeah.
You might say, yes, get me tea or chocolate or coffee, but then when it comes, you don't want it. And then how you express it, the man wonders, so, kwa nini umeitisha? Or I want eggs, or I want bacon, or I want, but then when it's brought to you, the look, the taste, the smell puts you off and you don't want.
Yeah.
So it becomes difficult to communicate because in one place the man really wants to help because in helping your spouse, you're also getting relief from how you're feeling. But then if we've not developed a very good way of communicating, I will miss most of the time the correct thing that you need. So what we recommend is even being present. Don't look for reasons to go work when you don't have to go work. Stay home. Just being in the same room, same space with your spouse, you don't necessarily have to keep yourself busy. You can just decide we're just going to watch movies or listen to radio or just stay in bed, not talking. Just physically acknowledging each other's presence. And whenever one of us feels I need to say something or I need to cry or I need to go take a walk and don't follow me, then for that we can respect that.
Yeah.
So there's no manual or list of things a man should do. It's just observing and just doing the bare minimum. If the bare minimum is sitting down, then sit and look like you want to be there, not like you're getting
Forced.
late. Like say what you need, man. So yes, just stay present and stay home.
Yeah. For Mary, after the child loss, how did it affect your marriage and your life after that?
It brought different versions of us. Because how I wanted to, I remember even when we were leaving hospital going home, I didn't feel like in the parking lot I was crying because now, you know, I'm leaving hospital without a baby. Why am I leaving my baby here? You know, there's all that. So I remember in the car, and when we got home, I just wanted to be alone. And that is how I wanted to be, like just curtains drawn and just sit alone. And now, for now, my ex-husband, for him was going for drives and just being by his space. So it was a very different space for us because we were, before we used to hang out together and all, but now in this situation, we will have moments where we'll be like, why now she will be in her crib. We'll have moments where we are holding her clothes and now wonder what we are going to do with them. We had those moments, but then in the other times I didn't know how to handle like him grieving. He didn't know how to handle. It was just a space of confusion.
Would you say the child loss contributed to the divorce? Or
yes, it did.
It did.
Yes.
For Mr. Richard, for the experience losing a child, clearly it didn't contribute to a divorce. How did it affect your marriage? Did it maybe bring you closer? Did it, you know, draw you apart? And if it did bring you closer, how?
Every partner knows their better half well. Yeah. So with us, it brought us closer. My wife is not a movie person. She's more of an outing person. And how it helped us heal better is during that period of time, I was able to. Men should control, during this period, they should control two things, effort and discipline. So me, in person, what I was able to do is I was able to make the effort of helping around the house a lot. With our baby girl and duties in the house. I mean, eating, cleaning the house, cooking, it's no big deal. So that helped my wife heal quickly and faster. And also it was able to help me at least be there. Remember, it's not a season she wants a lot of talking. If you have nothing to say, keep your lower part quiet.
If I may ask Daktari, you see, sometimes there are those, I don't know if it's just me, but there are those days when you wake up, you are so good, so motivated, and then those days you wake up and you feel like, okay, my son should have been 8 years now. You know, I would have gone to take him to school, and also it sometimes feels like I've just lost the baby yesterday, and it's 8 years ago. So my question is there something like closure, or is there a point where someone will reach and be like, I've cried enough?
Now, it varies from one person to the other. There are those that closure means that if I'm blessed to have a second child, then I may choose to honor the first child by giving the name that I wanted, that I was saving for the first child. Then when this child is old enough, I'll tell them why I gave them this name. Closure for other people appears to be I have reconciled with my maker, that there must be a higher reason why this happened. And sometimes closure, and this is what we normally recommend, that if you do not know why this happened or had to happen, that is your reality. You do not know why. Would you allow yourself the possibility of considering that to be a good enough reason? I don't know why, and I need to make peace with the fact that I will never know why. And it happens for most people, especially when you're driving together with your family and then there's a road accident and one dies, or all of them die and you survive. You're wondering, why me? The reason the answer might be that you may never ever know why, and allow that to give you peace.
As we wind up, Richard, what advice can you give to a young couple out there who have probably lost a child and they probably don't know how to navigate around that situation?
It's normal. Normal in the sense that whatever they're going through during that period, it's not normal, but it's normal in the sense that other couples go through the same. And it's a period where you as a couple have to sit and reflect, even during that process of healing and rebounding and getting back to normal, to understand that there are some elements that probably may have happened. It's not a judgment and a blame game of you would have done this better or this. I would encourage them to do the DNA fragmentation and do blood clots and see where if at all the blood clots. I mean, there's so many areas and avenues, autoimmune disorders.
Yeah.
So there are those things that you need to reflect back as a couple and see how do we come out of this.
Yeah.
But do not have an Olympic grieving, grieving Olympic. There's no process and length, right or wrong, or way to grieve. You just grieve. You have your own times and seasons.
Mary, in 30 seconds, what can you tell a young lady out there who's probably going through this process?
What I would tell her is don't try and you know, like, deny what you're feeling. Just embrace it and just sit on it. If you need, whatever you need to, if you need to cry, if you need to sit by yourself, just embrace it and know that if we have gone through it as well, and it won't. I usually say the pain will still. Don't expect the pain to just disappear.
Yeah.
It will come. It will come in waves, but just know that you'll be fine. Yeah.
Dr. Harry, as we close up, what advice can you give to a couple who have been through this and they're not really handling it well, I would say?
I concur with what Mary has said. The first reality is that it will hurt.
Yeah.
And it will hurt deeply and extensively and for some time. And one day it will feel like you're okay and you're coping and you're going about your business, and then the memories will come, and then it will be like you never processed it.
Yeah.
So expect that there will be periods of time where the intensity of the pain will be unbearable, and there are days that you'll be able to cope. So for those that would be willing to seek for help, the goal is not normally to stop you or to end the pain. The goal is for us to hopefully achieve that you have more days where you're able to function and bear than there are the days that you're unable to function. And we work through what do you do throughout those processes. And we also recommend for family. Family support tends to be very good and needed at this point. And not the kind of family support where we are blaming or pointing fingers or you should have known. It's the kind of understanding that it could as well have been you, and we would give you the kind of support that we are giving you right now. And also the employers sort of being very compassionate, someone returning to work, the both couples including men, especially after loss of the child, especially when there is disclosure, so that there is understanding, because grief also is part of mental health, good mental health, your ability to allow yourself to grieve, and that your employer also acknowledges that, so that the support is both at home, within your social circles, and also at work. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for having this amazing conversation. Also, our viewers back at home, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned a thing or two. And if you're going through this process, you're not alone. You've got this. Have a blessed evening. Good night.
Fresh, insightful, and in-depth stories from current affairs, opinion, inspiration, lifestyle, church-related articles, and so much more on www.familynews.today. Insights at your fingertips.